Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We will be going over how it seems to me that we are squeezing, and that is continuing. And so we have to be very, very patient and wait for the opportunity. We have to be very, very patient and wait for reversal signals. If we're patient and we wait for those reversal signals, I think we could see some great setups for the end of November. I actually think this could leak into another week or so of some figuring out that momentum. If we do just randomly crash down from here, I would assume that is something completely unexpected because you have no real weakness in momentum here. Starting off the day with a little gap up, most likely going to fill that gap, but we'll see what happens throughout the day. Apple turning down here, able to cross down. We need to see if that's going to cross down on a 2-hour, but one good thing Apple can do here is still curl up on the 30-minute. Notice that the 30-minute is still positive. We are reaching down into a zone, one of our zones that usually buyers are lurking in these zones that we create, and we're retesting that 5-day moving average. So can we whip this thing back around? That's going to be important. Tesla not wanting to back off at all. Tesla actually is the only one that really said, hey, yeah, I can back off on this 30-minute. We're seeing that upward move, making another tiny, tiny little point of divergence. I'm sure we could see that if it popped up on the 15-minute. We see that curling up, though. That shows positivity. We do have some divergences across here saying it wants to pull back, but this thing is squeezing. So we may have to look at some weekly expected moves for these guys just to make sure nothing's happening there. And you got plenty of room. You got a lot of room to the upside here for Tesla this week. Amazon still waiting to see, is this going to be a 30-minute curl up or are we going to get that 2-hour pullback? Once again, I am leaning towards this thing being able to curl up into positive territory. I really think the SPY is going to create some kind of 30-minute divergence before that 2-hour does pull down. And Nvidia is going to be an important one as well, seeing if that can curl up into positive territory, make that quick little reversal signal to go back down to test the 5-day moving average maybe at that point, and then curl back up into positive territory. And this is adjusting in real time. I just want to make sure that I really want that. I'm still playing with this overall. Yeah, I think I might like this better. I'm gonna try this for this week. It's not as staggered, but I think I'm gonna try for this week. Just make sure that's landing in the same area. Let's see, 143.59, 30-minute, 143.74. So it is adjusting a little bit, which is what I do not like. Oh well. Anyway, we'll leave that for a little bit. I might test that out for that this week. Some other things to notice, volatility did see a tiny pop, even though we're seeing some upside. Watch for that 30-minute to curl down. That would say that the squeezing is going to continue. Oh, and for you guys today, I do have the daily expected moves. This is for showing up to the live show. Thank you so much for showing up to the live show. Please leave a like on the channel if you think this channel is helpful. And 446.72 to the upside for the Dow. Okay, that is for the DIA. That is the Dow Jones Industrial ETF, right? So what we want to pay attention to also is the downside, 433.50, 433.50, 446.72. For the IWM, we actually get above my overall target for as high up as I saw IWM being able to go, and that is going up there, so we'll see if we can get there, but 243.50 to the upside for the weekly expected move and 232.74 for the weekly downside expected move. We'll give those out since you guys showed up to the live video. I do appreciate you being here. TLT experiencing that 30-minute, right? Seeing if that 30-minute can pull back. Now, one interesting thing about TLT is where that weekly expected move lies. If you want that weekly expected move for TLT, for all the other stocks that we are covering, you can get that over on Patreon. The link's down in the description, but this could pull down like this, and then maybe we carve some good structure out. Reach down for those buyers, get close to the center line, curl up into positive territory. That's something I'm looking for from TLT. That would be great structure to head higher. Apple now still giving it up, still in our zone. Okay, so one important thing is the 2-hour has to remain positive. Okay, if this starts to cross down, well then that starts to really lean towards test the low, go make a new one. And maybe this was just a massive cup and handle. So I'd be very cautious if that 2-hour does rotate down. Even though we don't have the most implied volatility in stocks this week. AMD is starting to roll once again. Similar story, right? If that 2 hour curls down, bad things, right? You can test the low, go make a new one. That's what we stated in the video last night. The 30-minute is what you're looking for here to whip back around. You need this thing to curl back up into positive territory to see that next move. Meta seeing some pretty dramatic downside as of this morning. Yeah, pretty dramatic to the downside there, Mr. Meta. Meta, we want to see if that can curl down. It's still a little bit elevated in positive territory, so that can just retest something and whip back up, fill a gap, whip back up. But if that crosses, I got to treat it like, hey, that can cross down into negative territory. One that I'm paying attention to is Microsoft, seeing how that's going to behave at this level, seeing if we're going to get that 30-minute push higher, because we're really getting that pullback. We're coming up to the zone, we're getting that little pullback. Can we burst higher? And from there, do we make divergences? What's going to happen going forward? Pretty much, if you really look at this week and we go look at the SPY, and you kind of zoom in, like, right, we can ignore almost all of this now, except for on the weekly scale. And then we can just go like this. Okay, we have a fresh week. We have a moment in time to be very, very patient. Taking a play here would be risky. If you want to short this, you're in a short squeeze. If you want to take longs on this, you need a pullback right now or some kind of consolidation. So you're at a point where, you know, me at least, is sitting on my hands seems like the right move. Leaving my trade over in TLT, making sure that that is managed in some way. But for the most part, just letting that go and then seeing what happens as the week develops for a position later on. If I just be patient for a couple of days, most likely something easy will pop up. How we doing this morning? Am I muted? Whew, that was close, guys. If I was muted, I would have been pissed. SMCI down 10%. Very interesting there. Ooh, that's a bad move, man. Ooh, that's a really bad move. Let's see if we can get an hourly cross here. Come on, load, dang it. There you go. Hourly cross, great hourly divergence, going down. Maybe you taper one more time. You're coming straight down, you taper off, right? Pretty much in this line, and then now you can maybe taper off again or get that flatness. Curl down on this hourly, curl back up into positive territory. If this is going to get even uglier though, you want to treat this like it is, and then if that reversal signal pops up, you react. But for now, you just say, hey, if that hourly crosses, it's bad. If it turns back around, it can be a reversal signal. So yeah, SMCI, very bad move. But you notice this too. Look where we react to. The 5, the 5. We're holding the 5, curl back down. So you do get retests of the 5 a lot. Mara saw a massive move, which makes sense. Bitcoin's up at 82.4K. 82.4. I think when we were talking about the bullishness back in a long time ago, I think we were talking about this consolidation, right? And I think it was around these levels or around this. It was around here or here. Here we said, you know, that looks like a double top. But I think it was this breakout. People were asking me, how high do you think it could go? I think we said about 85K made sense. But really, if you look at this consolidation, it was for a long period of time there. So that can be an extended move over time. It really can extend. I mean, if you look at like this leg and then you probably put that leg here, you'd probably end up somewhere towards 90K. So very cool. I did notice that oil was dropping off, and good morning. Is this shorts covering? At this point, it might be. It really might be. Oil's starting to turn down here, so now you're worried about this, head and shoulders. And we do know that since Trump has become the president-elect, we have seen multiple countries come out and say they want peace with the new administration. They want to stop the wars. They want to stop everything. And so if that is going to fully come into consideration, fully happen, well, you might see oil actually go down. So interesting. One thing about Bitcoin, where it is at right now, if you look at the 2 hour, you got some divergence forming, very squeezy, right? Very squeezy here, but you do have divergence that's rather flat across the way, and you're making the divergence in that shorter term on the RSI. So it does lead me to believe that, hey, even the 4 hour, if that would cross down, you don't have the divergence here on the MACD at all. You do have one little one across on the RSI. Just tells me Bitcoin could go through a pullback and it would make sense. It could not go through a pullback and make sense, right? Because if this just curled over, but this continued to squeeze and it continues to go up, and then you're going to get that pullback later. It's just going to be a tough trade. But if this would cross over today, you see that pull down to lower prices, retest something like 74K or something like that, and then it turns back up. That, I think, would be the time where an opportunity is there. Hopefully to be able to start investing in a year or so. That's awesome. And if you give yourself a period of time to learn, you know, I mean, I know the course is there, but we always say, you know, give yourself that period of time without money. And then what you do is you just take a very, very small amount of money and you play with it, and you be okay losing it. And you just sit there and you try to make those good decisions. You make sure what we talked about in the video yesterday, I think, was very important, because short squeezes can really hurt people. And so what you want to do is really practice patience, practice your mentality taking a trade, practice when you're going to manage a trade, right? And you can use small amounts to do that. You can use very small amounts to do that. Literally, if you wanted to come in and take a, you know, 30-minute play, or say a 2-hour divergence, and then you play $100 behind it in something, right? You just want to practice, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do if this happens, and maybe write that down. I'm even thinking about making little trading booklets that say trade like water on them for you guys. Just to kind of like start your day and remind you, like, hey, this is what I need to do. I need to trade like water. I think that would be very, very cool. But yeah, Tesla seeing a great upward move. This does have room to the upside, but we are getting there pretty quick. Think we'll get a small pullback and then recover a little more. Well, what I think will happen here, regardless of the 30-minute, I think what will happen is the 2-hour will experience a pullback, and maybe that is as we hit resistance. Notice that the monthly and the daily are at the same point. So if we get that pullback, right, throughout the week, a 2-hour curling down like this would be nice, right? Because that would get you, down by that center line. And then if you can get that positivity curl up, you have that next move higher that most likely takes you outside of the monthly expected move. Then you curl down and you see that reversal signal, and this is what we really like to trade. So this is the exact setup that NVIDIA's given 4 times over the last 3.5 months, and each one worked. So it worked 100% of the time. Why can't it work for the SPY? So the main thing, though, is I want to see things develop. I want to have reasons for the trade. I want to have reasons for risking money, right? I don't have those reasons right now, which should mean, hey, even if we get a pullback, we're most likely going to continue this run. Yeah, Chris, it's down there. The using technical indicators one. The using tech is 90% off. So if you didn't know it existed, it does. And it's going away. That price is going away at the end of this month. Most likely the course will go up to around $400 for that one. So huge increase in price. You can get it for $100 right now, but in a month you won't be able to. We'll do a little Christmas sale though, you know, just in case someone misses out. We'll do a little Christmas Eve, Christmas Day sale or something like that. But if you're not ready for it, that's perfectly fine. Like, I know people are like, some people are new and they say, you know, I don't know if I'm ready for that right now. And I'm like, perfect. That is super honest of you, like, to yourself, and I think that's awesome. So if you want to take that time to really just watch videos and learn for a full, you know, another few months, and then you go, okay, I think I know what I'm doing, you could try it. If it doesn't work out, maybe getting the course is the option. Serious question, could the VIX rise with the GME squeeze? Yes. So the VIX doesn't only rise when stocks fall, by the way. The VIX is rising right now, right? Volatility, we're on it right now. You see it's up 3.55%. What is the SPY? The SPY's up. So you see how these upward moves can still cause volatility to pop. It's not going to benefit UVXY. It's not going to benefit UVXY, okay? UVXY has to see a lot of the volatility ETFs, they are going to have to see the SPY come down in price to go up. That's a lot different because volatility can pop, but that just means bigger swings. That's why it overall just means bigger swings. You notice that it's up. If it was just a negative correlation all the time, you would just see volatility up, SPY down. I dip on gold. Well, gold has some issues here. Gold has some issues making this move down, and I'm glad that you brought it up. And I'm going to reorganize, but I need to reorganize really bad. But the problem with gold, and it can catch a bounce here. This is where you want to start thinking about it. But the problem with gold is you have you have divergence up here. It's rather flat. It is flat, a little bit more significant in the recent one. So this can make this move. I'm not going to say it can't. But if you really look at what you're doing right now, if you get down to there, you see this left, you see a head, you get a reaction, fill a gap, and make some kind of right shoulder, that's going to be a big problem. So something I would pay attention to if I'm going to, find any kind of structure in here for a bounce is, does this daily, does that actually cross up? If that daily crosses up, that means I'm taking back all the moving averages, which means I have a very good shot to test the high, go make a new one. If I do not cross and I reject, and maybe we could just curl down on a 2-hour chart over here with like a 30-minute divergence above it. If we do that, then you're really looking like head and shoulders at that point. So a little bit fearful for gold, and especially this, the weekly scale. The weekly scale is turning down here. So that would tell me, as far as the weekly scale goes, you don't see the best reversal signals. You don't even really, you're actually above that point a little bit, but this is a weekly crossing over. So if this wanted to, it could back off all the way down to this 50, and that's why it's a little bit risky. But it could just come and test it could fondle around in here for a little while, maybe dip down into some more liquidity, retest these highs that it broke out from, retest this level that it broke out from, get down to there, curl up into positive territory. What that would allow you to do is get by that center line. So pretty much you're looking for, on the weekly scale, I think you have to be aware that this can pull back further and then be looking for a swing trade. But on the shorter time frames, we'd probably look at a 2-hour and just say, do we see reversal signals at this point that can curl up a daily chart? Because we're like, hey, if the daily chart curls up, we can see another move past this high, most likely, right? That would be something very probable. Are we seeing that pop up? You actually are seeing a slight one on your RSI, but it's not on the MACD at the same time. So you do have the opportunity for a decent bounce here. We've left behind some gaps. But you'll notice the 30-minute is just really, really beat up. You're seeing major gaps and things like that. Yeah, you might call it divergence, but does this look like the most safe play in the world after all those drops? Not necessarily. I think waiting for the daily swing trade, the weekly swing trade would be better if I want to get bullish on this. That's just my opinion, though. GME seeing some good upside. Still got to pay attention to if that 2-hour rolls down. Still got to pay attention to. I know it's great. It's a great move. You got to get through 28.21, but this is a great move. If that backs off, you have to be aware that these things can just keep dropping, keep getting fought against. Right now, you're waiting for AMC to curl up on a 2-hour, and then it's like, hey, I could have a good shot, right? It's like, I could have a good shot if I curl up on this 2-hour chart. Is it doing that right now? No, it isn't. Okay, so the level you got to break through is 478 to see something crazy there. But yeah, gold, I think the 2-hour is giving some form of divergence there, but is it like one that I think would be like the easiest payday? If you know how to manage risk, you can be very confident with a lot of stocks. If you think I'm a very bearish trader, I don't know about saying, hey, I'm looking for an opportunity for a swing trade to the upside and then mentioning the bear side as well. How are my shorts doing? I sold them here. I sold them when I saw this and we said, watch out because the 2-hour most likely goes up here and maybe we hit that sell zone and back off. We gapped above it. Okay, we gap above it. That means more positivity and we're squeezing. So you genuinely aren't paying attention to the channel. You're just popping in to be a troll at this point. And that's perfectly fine because I sold my volatility. I don't like to play the SPY. I like to buy volatility. And I bought volatility, proved it, saw the divergence, got out of volatility, put my money over in TLT. TLT, I got another scale in, and it's right back to where price was. So I'm actually, I think, let's see. TLT, just to show you that, got in around this level here, and we saw this pop up. Awesome. We saw that curl down. Yeah, that hurt me. And I said, oh, this curled in back up. Okay, I'm right back in, right? So I scaled in a second time here. And now look where we are. I'm actually above the point where I bought. So you're genuinely not paying attention to the channel, which is perfectly fine if you don't want to pay attention to the channel. Just if you don't know what you're talking about, I mean, I guess you're allowed to speak, right? Donald Trump's president now, so you can say whatever you want. No, it looks toppy. No, the 10-year looks toppy. It does. You have the signals from the 10-year that prove this too. That's why. The 4-hour still held the divergence point across the main ones. So that's big. And then this actually was able to curl down the daily chart at this point. You see the daily curling down? Now, we'll still pay attention. I mean, if TLT starts to bounce in some way and show a reversal for TLT in the opposite direction, obviously, we'll pay attention. But yeah, this, if you just watch the video from last night, guys, you'll see I'm telling people, hey, be very, very cautious trying to short here. So if you come into the channel, you're not watching the videos very often, and you think that I'm shorting this right now, you're a psychopath. Like, this is the exact opposite time. This is the worst time. I'm not going to try to short a short squeeze with no reversal signals in sight. Okay? And that's something I'm really talking about in my last video. I'm like, you need to understand this. You cannot be shorting without any kind of signal just because you think this needs to come down. If this comes down, it's going to be a black swan because there's no reversal signals in sight. Or if it pulls back, it might be a pullback for just profit taking. If that can get down by the center line, I would love for it to get down to this weekly, create maybe a 30-minute divergence, you know, going into the end of the week, and then we see that turn up into positive territory. That would be the next real good swing trade setup for the shorter term. That's it. It's very simple. We do see that PCC going to 0.73. We do have the dollar getting pretty positive there. It's kind of in a positive correlation with the market, though, with the dollar. So interesting to see that. But people are taking calls at the exact time that we're starting to talk about, you know, major pulling back. You got to retest something, in my opinion. Like, even us getting outside of this would make sense. Go retest these levels. Housing sector seeing some love again. That's good. A little divergence in there for the housing sector. You can see that on the MACD. Ooh, not the best on the RSI, but that is producing something. Let's see if that daily was able to curl up. If it'll load. Daily curled up. It is negative, so you got to be aware of a lower high, but pretty good likelihood, I would say, because it's pretty close. If that can go positive, then you would say, hey, yeah, that can test that high, go make a new one. Bunsicle, I'm an investor in TLT. How is it impossible that I'm even? I am an investor in TLT with an option play as well. Do you think I put a bunch of money behind? Like, I'm an investor in TLT as well, and this is where I'm scaling into investments. My investment is up. If you take right here and you take right here, and then you look where the price is, it's here. My investment's right in the middle. Okay, I'm up. Like, it's not complicated. Anyway. But all right. Think what you want, buddy. Anyway, well, who wants to look at some stocks here? I did. I was like, well, it's just like, it's annoying because you see a lot of people that come in when things go up. Like, no trolls come in on this day. No trolls come in on the day we say, hey, NVIDIA is going to crash down tomorrow. That video that we put out the day before, and then it happens. No trolls come in then. They all come in after it bases out, when they didn't pay attention to the next video, when we were like, hey, this is basing out and gonna go up. And yeah, we were mainly talking about rejection here, but the big implied volatility, you gapped above our zone like perfectly, so it's fantastic. It's a great move. Was I hurt by the move? I was hurt by the move in TLT for a moment, but was I hurt by this? No, because I pay attention to every single 30-minute divergence. I really do. I was looking for if that 2-hour could go this, and I believe we even put out a video that said if this 2-hour turns up, that's when you could see 600. So it's just like ass backwards, and like it kind of shows like no balls, because if you're only willing to come in here when you're, I guess, kind of right, because you just hold calls and most of the time, you know, 80% of the time the stock market goes up, that's fine. But like, have some balls and come in and like give us credit when the thing that we're talking about actually happens. But no more feeding. They're always hungry, you know. You can't feed them enough. 2 hour, what we're looking for from volatility. This is why I really want to see that 2 hour pullback for the SPY, because this would set up the great look. And also, most likely what we're looking for here is still just a reminder. I know a lot of people watched the video yesterday, but just a reminder, the Qs have taken out that level. So just a reminder that this could be a corrective move, right? If we see a major move down after we make reversal signals, right? We're still in a short squeeze. We still could experience just a pullback that goes higher because this has no reversal signals. If this does cross down on some stuff, I think it will be a corrective move. And just like in the video we stated, I think we could actually see another bull run in 2025, barring something breaking in the system. So that's what we're over. That's like the overall thing that's changed. When we were doing this, we were like, okay, now this can be a stock market crash. This can be something ugly. We'll still pay attention for correction, but I think this is ugly. And then we saw the divergence. We go, okay, that could be a 2 hour bounce. That divergence took you to a new high. So that just tells you, okay, now that we're above this level, most likely this will be a corrective move that is able to turn back up later on. Most likely what I'm talking about is like a weekly pullback, like just a few weeks. Because you look at the weekly scale here, it's still a little bit worrisome. But as we've taken out that high, that's not necessarily the right look for a major top. And this thing load. Everything loads so slow. This is why I don't turn my camera on. Yeah, see, and this would still be something to be aware of. And this could still extend for some time. You see how much room that has. That really has room. It's not even overbought. But if that would just curl down for a moment, I think we maybe even get to the bottom of our channel. We come down like this, and then we actually see another run in 2025. I think that's definitely possible. Or, because this is the Qs, we actually see this. And if it's going to be short-lived, we could see something like that take place. That would be interesting, because that would give you the lower high. The SPY maybe goes and makes the higher high, and that would be pretty much the top you're looking for. But we got to see what happens. We're just playing the signals, flip-flopping back and forth. Oil, yeah, oil is just shooting down. And that head and shoulders on oil, we just talked about that a little bit ago. Yes, and the bear market will come. If I'll take a look, it looks like forming base. Maybe. Like, we're not trying to time the bear market perfectly. We're just playing good signals, and when the bear market happens, we're gonna be playing those signals too. Like, I think a bear market that will come for years is going to happen. One thing with this, very flat here on the daily. The only problem with this I'm having is this is looking a little bit controlled still. A little bit controlled still. So is this doing good structure? I do like the look. I like the slightly higher low. That rejects. Notice you weren't able to cross. That's awesome. But 2 hour, maybe this will be a 2 hour. There it is. This is going to be a wonky look for the 2 hour though, because it's very tight on this MACD. So really what you're paying attention to is a break and close above 25.05. You notice when we break above that, we just gave it up. We have these wicks, we have these wicks, we have these wicks. I'd really like to see a close of 25.04, see if you can get a good move, maybe a retest, and then you can start that positive trend to really look nice and flowy, because that's really choppy right now. It looks like it is forming a base, but you just have to be aware that this could be flagging in some way. This is pretty controlled on the bigger time frames. So anytime that daily does cross over, you got to react and say, hey, that can head lower. Maybe that's the real opportunity, right? Maybe it makes another point here, goes like that. But if you can break through, I think it looks all right. I think it looks like it's trying to form the base. It's doing a lot of the things you want it to do. It's giving you divergence, popping up, retesting for that third dip down, getting a higher low, trying to cross up. Now you're just trying to break through resistance and take back that 200. But what's the, we won't look at weeklies just yet. Tomorrow. Awesome, Chris. Let me know how it goes for you. Come back to the live show and talk to me if there's anything you want to chat about with it or any questions towards it. I think it'll be very good for you, especially since you're dedicating yourself to some time, to give yourself some time to learn. I think that's awesome. And you can just pile up, you know, if you have a regular job and stuff like that, you can just pile up some money. Yeah, Maurice, thank you. I did see that, Maurice. Thank you. Yeah, gold's still just dropping off. Is that catching the bounce yet? Because this is where you would expect, hey, this is it's a probable area as far as like, hey, a big move happens, support resistance. You probably have weekly expected touches at this point. We do give GLD out on Patreon for the weekly expected moves. Yeah, and I'll just say for gold, you might want to look at those weekly expected moves right now for GLD. Oh, wait, I want to just pay attention to the SPY, though. Yeah, for GLD, you might want to go look at the weekly expected moves real quick. Especially if you're short, because you have a 68% chance of something happening. All right, looks like the Qs are actually able to cut this previous low. Still probably pretty controlled, and we're still in that daily expected move. So remember what we talked about and how this would actually fall down is maybe it goes down to that daily, turns back up, we see that little 30-minute divergence like this, then it turns down, turns back up, and goes to higher levels. That is the kind of look I want to see for reversal. That is all talking about just how a bullish trend continues to go higher. And that's how you would see weakness. If we do not see weakness, then we assume that this will continue, the bullish trend. It's pretty damn strong here. Really strong, actually. Apple really dropping off here, though. I think Apple might have to go make a stronger base now. So Apple, with this type of move, it might need to go make a stronger base. If it's going to trick people and be like, hey, yeah, this sort of cup and handle, if that's not going to fully play out, we might just chop this low for a moment, curl back up into positive territory, see a divergence, and that could get very bullish very quick. So Apple just might be running a little bit later than some other stuff, and it needs to go create that base. But that 2 hour hasn't crossed over yet. Saw pretty much rejection off of the 5 here for Apple. And volatility, still trying to pop on that 2 hour. Still looking for a 2 hour divergence from volatility. I don't think that thing's fully based out yet. It had some little 30-minute hourly signals, but I don't think that's fully based out yet. I think we have the opportunity to just pull back and go a little higher. Pull back on the 2 hour, go a little higher, get above 649, and then we'll look for reversal signals. That's the plan. Okay, need to look at this. All right, see if we have to manage here. Oh wait, that's high up. I don't need to. Awesome. Okay. Gold dropped out of its daily channel. Yeah. Yeah, not much setup because you're squeezing. That's why the big video this weekend was being patient, right? Because there's no real setups for in any direction at this point. I think getting in here would be just saying, hey, this is going to squeeze. There's, you know, it's hard to tell if that's really going to squeeze unless you're good at looking at the options data and figuring that out. You're more so looking for the opportunity up or the opportunity down. How much money am I down this year? 0. Like 0. When things look bullish reversal, I take bullish trades. When things look bad, I take short trades, right? So I don't know what you're talking about. I am down $0 as of right now. 0. Gotta take money out of your account sometimes. That way you can for sure make profit, by the way. Mr. Buy price on coin by 150. Damn, what is coin up to? Because Bitcoin, usually with coin, Bitcoin causes that. Yeah, okay. There you go. So I know people were asking with earnings, but I was like, you know, if Bitcoin experiences positivity, coin's usually pretty positive. Did you have a signal here? No, just a little lower high in here. No divergence between these points. Dips back down. So you got like a little 2-hour cross down. Yeah, 2-hour swing trade. Now it's deeper, a little bit risky, but that's why if you learn how to manage risk, it's like, okay, cool, I can take this and feel pretty confident because I know how to manage risk. That's always good. No, you gotta let him talk. It's a free country. Let him talk. Who cares? He just doesn't know what he's talking about, and everyone that actually pays attention to this channel knows that, so I'm not worried about it by any means. You can say whatever you want in my chat as long as you're not being belligerent or total D-bag. I don't think he's reached total D-bag yet. We're good. Oh, Pfizer. Ooh, is this gonna have divergences? I'm still trying to work there, Jewel. I'm still trying to work to that. But at this moment, I don't think it makes too much sense, especially with my time. Like, I still have my daughter and all that good stuff. And I do like spending the time I do have with her throughout my day. That's why you always hear me get off at, you know, in about an hour from now, I'll get off, and I always try to go to lunch with the girls and all that good stuff. All right, so this is another information stuff, guys. If you're coming into this channel to try to get specific advice on stocks and things like that, hey, that's cool and all, but mainly we are trying to teach here. So if you ask me about how much money I have, if you ask me about anything like that, that is some of the stupidest stuff to say on the internet, is tell random people on the internet that you have money, because I mean, I'm sure in some way someone smart could probably use my IP address, find out where I live, and then come rob me. So I'm good personally. This channel is about learning. It is not about you figuring out exactly what I'm doing at all times, because if you just try to do that, you're trying to trade based on what someone else is doing. Take accountability for your own trades. All right. I know most of the people in here don't need to hear that, but some people do. We're trying to teach good things. What we're teaching right now is this is a squeeze, and shorting it is a very bad idea. You could be right, but that would be pretty lucky, okay? What you really need to see here are reversal signals. You need to see reasons to take a trade. Thank you, Can't Get It Right. Appreciate it. Tesla, Nvidia. Tesla, just seeing that major upward move, had plenty of room to the upside, started to give it up. The bad thing, like Tesla actually had the divergence here. It was very, very flat on the MACD. Now you're getting rid of it on the MACD. Very, very good. But you're starting to get a little bit significant there for the RSI and turning down. So this just means could be an opportunity. I'm not saying Tesla has to crash down. I'm more saying, hey, Tesla has seen a great upward move, just like we're saying in the market, and this could be a pullback for an opportunity. You are seeing that we have the same look on the 2-hour, right, as the 30-minute a little bit. You're cutting above it on the MACD, which means you have a very high up MACD, you have flatness on the RSI. So that says this pullback can be pretty good, but most likely that will be just that. It will be a pullback down to the center line. You'll have a simple swing trade to the upside. That's what I see Tesla doing. You know, we always say this too, barring something really, really bad happens. What you would see here is mostly just, you would see if something really bad happens, you start to just, you know, go down and down and down. like the correction even happens right now, it more would just be a random occurrence because you don't really see the momentum side proving that right now. So that's why I'm leaning more towards momentum proving itself, giving us the actual signals that this is going to fall. Because that would be me trying to bet on a black swan, and that's just silly. Because there's a reason for a black swan at all times with what we got going on. Except some of the geopolitical stuff has really calmed down. That's good. Tesla expected moves are over on Patreon. I can tell you you're not at one right now. And you didn't get to one this morning, I don't believe. Yeah, you didn't fully get to one this morning. And then SoFi. Long-term forwards. That's what I'm saying. I think you do have room because you violated a lot of the divergences. Once you violate the divergences, you got to wipe out the board and say, okay, this thing did curl up on a 2-hour. This thing is going higher. This does not have divergence, which means you have no weakness in momentum. So if you have no reason for a trade to the downside, then why would you force a trade to the downside? You know, look for a stock that does show it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. For SoFi, can it keep squeezing? Of course. Yes, these things always can keep going. That's why you're not trying to catch some kind of downfall. You notice even on the RSI, you're violating the daily divergences you had on the RSI. That's great. Now, will it continue to go up? It can. Do I want to bet against it right now? Not necessarily. But maybe we have the opportunity to make real reversal signals. And you are seeing that this next move on this 2-hour is higher. So the reversal signals you had, they played out for a bigger pullback for a moment, and that gets wicked up. Pullback for a moment, curls up into positive territory. What happens? You're in positive territory. Positivity. No divergence created, so that continues to go. So most likely what's going to go on here is the same thing with Tesla. You're violating a lot of the things that we're going to say this is turning down. Now you have the opportunity to maybe see a 2-hour pullback. This is more for the opportunity. This is being patient and then seeing if that can turn back up into positive territory. See if this can get by that center line again. We did it here a little bit. We did it here a little bit. And you notice once we got to that center line, good move. So if we can get to the center line again, that would be the next moment, I think, for a good move to the upside for SoFi. I don't necessarily see reversal signals for SoFi. So if it were to come down, it would be kind of a random occurrence. Right now, you're just squeezing. So I don't think the opportunity, if you're just looking, like if I just open it up and now I want to trade SoFi, is there an opportunity here in either direction? There is a very risky opportunity in both directions because you have no idea how high this thing's going to squeeze and you have no idea when this thing's going to sell off a little bit because the momentum's just not telling you. So can it squeeze higher? As of right now, it is. So you would expect that to continue. It's just taking that now is risky. When you wanted to take it was more down in here, right? When you saw that little cross up right here, you go, okay, that's on a green bar. Okay, cool. All the swing trade signals were confirming, right? In this, actually on this bar right there. Man, we need to get ears checked. I'm being patient, guys. Very, very patient. Very, very patient. I do not day trade. If that's something you think I do not day trade. Nope. I am a position trader. I take options a month out, 2 weeks to 2 months out, depending on the trade setup. That's why you're saying it's impossible you're even on TLT. How is it impossible if I have month out options, 2 month out options? It's just not. I do not do day trading. 95% of day traders lose. I am not willing to put myself in that probability. You do SMH, yeah. So as far as SMH goes, a lot of this is going to depend on NVIDIA. Okay. Now, one worrisome thing, I mean, there's two things to this, which is we're coming up to a resistance point. We're seeing that resistance come in strong. That can really scare people. And that can be scary. If it goes negative, that can be scary. But more likely, this is very positive at this point. We're not like curling over right here or something like that. You're very positive. So more likely, you're going to see this consolidate in some way, maybe fill this gap, and then just turn back up, right? We see this kind of just leak down to here and then turn back up into positive territory. That's the most likely thing to happen with this big move. I'm aware that if this 2 hour crosses over, I don't necessarily want to be in calls for the moment, and that could get ugly, right? Anything can get ugly, but I'm more looking for, hey, can that curl down to the center line and curl up into positive territory? And I'm just not taking too many upside plays, at least until I see very good structure. You know you're a swinger. GME up to 34. What? No way. Yeah, okay. 34, maybe. Whew, 34. Scared me for a sec. Great move from GME. Remember that 2 hours curled up, all the dailies curled up, and you've seen something crazy. That might have caused a little bit of margin calls. Then you saw something crazy again the next week, both ending outside of our purple line. That's fantastic. And so that can cause a margin call. Last week it had caused a margin call, and now you're seeing upside. So it has potential. If a 30-minute or 2-hour curls down, most likely you're going to experience what? A pullback. A pullback. This thing moves so fast that it didn't really get squeeze behavior the last time on the 30-minute that it actually saw a big move. Got to get through 28.21 to see something good. AMC trying to follow suit, it seems, right now. And if this thing would curl up on a 2-hour, you'd feel a little bit better about it, because this isn't seeing as much strength. You need that back. See, the difference between GME is this daily is curled up still. It almost curled down on Friday, but the 2 hours not curling up into positive territory. That's the big difference between momentum in GME and momentum in AMC. GME is doing it in positive territory, already curled up. AMC's 2 hours a little bit negative and not curled up. Oh yeah, day trading is really freaking dangerous. Sorry, Reese, what did you say? Oh, 34 is your prediction for this. Well, on a weekly basis, if I'm ever going to predict anything, I'm always saying a weekly or a daily expected move. I'm not going to make up my own conclusion. I'm going to let the options data make those levels for me. But hey, if you have your reasons for assuming that level, I know you're probably paying attention to support, maybe where sellers can be lurking, maybe some wicks in there, maybe where they try to fight the stock. I get it. So 34 would be a great move. All right, let's go back over to the SPY, just see what's developing there. Looking at a 30-minute still. This could just be 30-minute consolidation, right? We could be pulling back with time because we're overall squeezing. We don't even have a 30-minute that says, hey, the 2 hours is going to cross over. If this could pull back with time just a little bit, then we curl up. Maybe that's when we see the first inclination of, hey, that we're going to see weakness. But that would be outside the monthly. A little bit worrisome there. Mara is taken off, dude. Mara is taken off, and it's just falling behind Bitcoin. Mara likes to do that. There was a period of time where it wasn't following the best, but now we're in a sell zone. Hopefully we can break through that. You've piled up a lot in here, so that's a nice move. I can't be patient. Yeah, it's like that sometimes. It's hard to be patient all the time, right? It's hard to be patient at the times where you're seeing things go up or you're seeing things go down, and you're like, oh, I just want to do it, but I like to wait for opportunities. It's helped me a lot. This is a great move. Super good move. It is one area that has held as resistance before. You notice we break out of it, retest in it to head lower. So I do believe this area is important. Hopefully it can just keep going because Bitcoin is pretty much steamrolling and maybe won't even confirm a little reversal signal. It's not even confirming it. Right? We still have some time to see. Probably by the end of the day, we'll see if that's either going to confirm or we're just, you have no reason for downside for Bitcoin. Palantir was an interesting one. That is seeing a major upward move. Look at that thing. Look at that gap up. The cool part about Palantir was if you look at the 30-minute here, you're just going to see we never were able to cross back over, I think, right? We never crossed back over. And that's very, very cool to see. So we never crossed back over. You can even, because we came down to that same point down here, you can probably say, hey, that might even be rejection. But hey, never curled back down on the 30 minutes. So no reason for negativity right there. Very cool. That's so cool. What was the one I was looking at? think it was it Google? Google was one. We were trying to figure out, is this a cup and handle? Okay, we were trying to figure out, is this a cup and a handle? Is this going to consolidate to just head down lower to test that 5, then curl up? But this is what I'm paying attention to. Just seeing if that can curl up, cross this high, go make a new one. See if we can keep this 2 hour going. Because the problem with this is if we do this and we fail, that means the 2 hour pullback is here. And you have potential for that being like triple top. So if that 2 hour pullback comes, I think it might fake people out, but this is one that we have to pay attention to. This is one that is giving a little hint if there's going to be big weakness. I still think that the overall generally, a lot of stocks across the board will end up going higher. And I think the SPY will go past 600 for sure. If we can pull back and no black swan happens, momentum would say, hey, there's no reversals here. In trend. Is it safe? Well, the reason that I wouldn't even try to answer the question, is it safe, is because anything can happen at any time. But we want to look for things. So I would say this, Frederick, more of the time where you feel safer in a trade is when you have more reasons behind it. So do I have a reason to pile on a bunch of shorts right now on the SPY? No, I just don't. Once I have those reasons, then I can feel confident putting my personal, my money behind it. So I'm waiting, I'm being patient. Can we see a drop from 6,100? Yeah. But do I need to see some kind of structure before that happens to really be convinced that that's going to drop, or are we just going to keep squeezing? That's what I want to play with. I need to actually have reasons behind this. I have no reason to believe that this is going to dramatically come down. If anything, this is saying I'm a short squeeze. I could pull back with time on the 30-minute. Right? Unless that 2 hour crosses, I don't think we're going to see some kind of bigger pullback down to like a weekly move or something. I think this could just pull back with time and then cross up. Get all the way down to that center line, cross up, and then we'll look for reversal signals. But during a squeeze, guys, too, this is another thing you need to make sure to understand. During a short squeeze, a lot of the time you'll make triple divergences on 30 minutes and sometimes even 2 hours if it's a strong enough move. So we could have to wait for a triple divergence on the 2 hours. So it's important to pay attention to how to not get screwed. The monthly for Palantir is overbought or oversold? Because overbought would make more sense, right? And you don't have enough data to really, with my swing signals, if anything, your swing signal was most likely right here, actually, that big bar. It might have happened on the next one, and then you go through the period of consolidation, you see another breakout, awesome. Okay, so this one maybe was it, you consolidate, you break through again. You don't necessarily have enough data to really just use the monthly scale here. But you are right in thinking that is very, very overbought. The MACD is screaming higher. It's more so the time to get in was anywhere in these levels. This is where you're kind of late to the move. Can that go up? Yes. Is it like a great, risk to possible reward? Well, you don't know how high that could go. So that's even a kind of question that's up in the air. So the best way to put it is this is a big run. I would wait for a next pullback, maybe on the weekly scale, right? I would look for a weekly pullback. Because you notice, like if I didn't have that data on the monthly, I can just see a good move, we pull back for a few weeks, we curl up into positive territory, now I have a weekly trade. And I can just let that thing ride, right? Weeklies are pretty good. That's what I would say for Palantir. Doesn't mean it can't go higher. It just means, is it a very obvious good opportunity for 12 months? No, it's way overbought. I would be looking for a daily or weekly pullback if I wanted to take a trade on Palantir. Always, always, always. Santa rally, baby. Switch. We have officially reached maximum douche levels. Thank you, Bunsickle, for being here today. Really appreciate it. Thank you for talking about things that you have no idea about, and I hope you have a great day. Peace out, homie. Now, the SPY really still just waiting. That's going to be the kind of bummer of today. I know we probably have moves happening in other stocks, but this is genuinely what I really want to pay attention to. And it's going to take a lot of time. This is going to be a patience time, which means, you know, we more likely should be bouncing around looking at other stocks for fun. Santa's coming this year and next for sure. We Trump for president. What's more bullish than that? It's true, and I think this does continue. I'm more speaking about where the opportunity lies for me to get back in there. You know what I'm saying? Just me. It's like, this is a great upward move. We're definitely squeezing. We have all the squeeze signals that we were talking about. VIX dropping down on the daily. We crossed above our sell zone for the SPY. Fan-freaking-tastic. Curled up on a 2-hour. Had a 30-minute divergence before. It was great. It's a great look. It's fan-freaking-tastic. It's awesome. So I sold my volatility calls. But we understand that pullbacks can happen. And that can just be a pullback with time, right? We can make a little range and go sideways. We can do that on the 2-hour. We can really do that on the 2-hour. We could just make a range, kind of go sideways for a while, get this down by that center line. Then I think that's the opportunity on the shorter time frames. That's all I'm talking about. So you have multiple accounts. Okay. Okay. Wow, that is some loser status, though. That is some loser status. Do you have 2 accounts dedicated to trolling? That's so crazy. Like, how much time do you have? Jesus, that person has a lot of time to have multiple accounts to troll. That's crazy. Really, Kyle? Yeah, I've never been much of a troll. That's all right. They can come in. They can do their thing. It's just the only reason I'm annoyed by it is, like, I don't have a moderator. My wife used to be my moderator for my old comedy streams. So I have to do it myself, and it's just a distraction from the stream. But all right, what's going on, guys? What do we want to look at real quick? So squeeze usually involves multiple divergences. Yeah. So Maurice, if you've taken, I know you've got the course, right? So the main part of the course is paying attention to when that divergence is down part. As far as squeeze goes, pay attention to when that downside move here. When we make a divergence that's closer to the center line. Because, okay, watch this. Okay, we'll do, actually 2-hour might work. Let's see. Okay, so this first divergence here, still far away from the center line, right? Still far away from the center line. Okay, so this one between these, still far away. So what ended up happening, you curled up, you made another one. Now, that other one was closer than the last time, just a little bit closer. But you notice the move from that one was more negative. All right, we did get that little curl up for a moment, but it ended up being more negative. We held the divergence point, and that thing curled down, and it went negative. So you see how when you're closer to that center line, it's kind of a better opportunity. It's more suggestive that that can go in a negative trend, right? More suggestive that you can go into a negative trend. Yeah. Pretty much as I got older, I kind of deleted all my comedy stuff, to be honest. Just because I was like, I'm getting old. I kind of got to see the other side of social media where, like, people start to get real douchey, like selfish, and like you don't really feel like you're friends with people. Exactly, Maurice. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so that's very helpful to understand. Is like, it makes sense too if you really think about it. And watch the MACD section again, Maurice, if you can, because that's what we talk about. So that center line. The center line is really important. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it at first. I was having a ton of fun with it. It was during COVID times. I was having a ton of fun with it. I gained like 200,000 followers in like a year. And I was really going to go into it. I got offered to do stand-up in New York and Florida. But I was just like, the people that I was connecting with, I didn't vibe with it. That's why I'm thankful to be from the Midwest. I mean, I'm around a very nice community, which is nice. Are we running away from fundamentals? Well, the fundamentals are still kind of there. You did get rid of a lot of geopolitical things going on. But fundamentally, actually, if you look at it, I think it was like we could still see participation from things like, I think it was Google, right? You still have these stocks that you could start to see some participation in if you can base out. So there is opportunity to go higher using multiple different stocks. I think it's more at this point, 2025, that looks like, hey, something bad could start to pile up. But now look at this, we're getting major call side activity here right as we're really talking about pullback. So the opportunity might come pretty soon. That'd be nice. Your jokes are funny. Yeah, not all my jokes are funny, but especially my dad jokes. I did do a video where, like, I think I did Mike's Hard Lemonade, and I pretty much pretended to make it an infomercial, and I filmed it as an infomercial. And Mike's Hard Lemonade was Viagra, actually. Like, it was a Mike's Hard Lemonade that got you hard. And that was one of the funniest videos I made. Sounds hilarious. It's not that funny. I didn't think I was that funny, to be honest. But I used to just be willing. I used to just have no filter. That helps a lot when you have no filter. You gotta have a filter when you're a parent, though. Can't do it. I really like doing funny infomercials. Really like doing funny infomercials. Did one with a wine holder that, like, it would stick to your. A lot of it was around alcohol. I was a boozer back in the day, for sure. DJT 50% shorts. Yeah, DJT, interesting there. I think it did have the short seller problem. He kind of called them out for it at some point. Good thing about DJT right now, 2-hour divergence. 2-hour divergence is there. I want to see if that's on the MACD. Pretty flat on the MACD, but it's up on the RSI. So DJT actually giving a signal here. Now that is a positive bar. It's kind of red, but it is a positive bar. That's plus 2.48%. We'll see if that closes in 57 minutes. One thing you don't want to happen is the 30 minutes to rotate down. That would be some negativity. But we can very clearly see if that curls down, we can look for a 30-minute divergence here. And then for the 2-hour, though, for DJT, you are seeing lows go into flatness of the MACD, go into upward for the RSI. I'll kind of blow that up for you, and just so you can see that is upward for the RSI. So that is saying that there is potential for this to, there's more probabilities that this is going to reverse the trend, right? Pretty good probabilities there. Always got to manage risk, which means if this 30-minute crosses down, not the moment, okay? Means you got to start rethinking it a little bit. Yeah, oil and gold both reacting very much so to the downside. We're going gold in an interesting area to catch a bounce, though, Mark. If you have the weekly expected moves, you have one thing to look at there. If you have another thing, you're going, okay, what if it creates that head and shoulders first? I'm not saying that this isn't bad. Like, this is very bad for gold to do. But what I'm more thinking is, does this, create the structure, right? Left, give this as a head, and then we come down into here at some point and see that bounce up, fill a gap, and then we create that. That's what I'm looking for. No, Michael, we have the better course is going to be the using technical indicators course, the technical analysis course down in the description. That one more teaches you like how to trade in any market. It can help you across the board with pretty much any strategy. And we give you a strategy that I like to use in it using divergences and weekly expected moves. And you can do it on the monthly scale as well. So that is more the course that I really think people can benefit from. The swing trading course is more if you're new and you want some basic stuff. It should be down there in the description. It's down there in the description. It's 90% off as well, so that'll go away at the end of the month. But thank you for asking, because that's the important one in my mind. I'm like, that's the one that I utilize the most. But if you have both, and you see a 30-minute divergence and a 2-hour swing trade popping up at a weekly expected move, that's awesome, right? That's when you get to use both. That's when you want to use both. I do not show positions. This channel is about learning. I do not show positions. I will never show anyone the amount of money that I have, ever. You can ask all you want. That's perfectly fine. If you don't believe in what I'm saying, that's perfectly fine. Go join another channel. That's okay. All right? I do not show positions on this channel. I'll mention if I take something sometimes, but that's not to encourage anyone to trade. Once you start showing positions, people try to take the same shit as you. I don't like that. I don't want to get sued in any kind of way. I'm okay. Yes. Yes. Zero accountability for my trades. 100% accountability if you learn something and it works as a teacher. 100% accountability as a teacher. I am not here to trade money in front of people. That is not my thing. No, thank you. It's just, it's fine. Let them say what they want to say. It's fine. It doesn't eat at me too much because it's like, whatever. That's not the goal here. All right, 30-minute. Can we move sideways a little bit more? I'd like a pullback with time would make a lot of change, a lot of sense, especially during a squeeze. Yes, and I have to relabel it. I need to just call it, it's the actual like technical analysis course in my book. You know, that's the actual technical analysis. It's kind of the using indicators course. But I need to change that name in the description because I even read it and I'm like, okay, that would confuse me a little bit. So I'll change that today. Let me write it in my notepad. I have other notes to write down here. Oops. Caps lock. All right, the Qs are really pulling back with time. I like this little dip down. We could pull back with time all the way until that daily is able to catch up, which maybe we do need to make that intraday just to see when that reaction takes place. Yeah, so you see where that really is lying. 24-hour trading course. It's really just, I only put things in it that's useful. Something that pissed me off about taking courses was the fact that I felt like half the shit I was learning I just wasn't going to use, and it was too much stuff. It's like, do you really need to use 6 different lines, 5 different indicators, all to like take one trade? It's like, what if I just came up with 5 very good reasons with classic indicators, and it's really, really worked for me. No, I do need to, sorry about that, Hamid. I know people have been asking about SoundHound. My bad. I really do want to look at this too, because that's a great move. And you see you pull back a little bit, make a little triangle in here, and you start to head in the upward direction. Something I would be aware of if I was trading this, I would have made a weekly expected move just in case, because you do have the opportunity that this is going to be a rejection divergence. It's just really high up, and it continues to go higher. So that most likely continues, right? It's hard to take these downward plays when it is a squeeze. Very hard to take it when it's a squeeze, and you can see it's just that. This 2 hours really high up, you have no reversal signals here. But a simple swing trade here went a long way. A simple swing trade, retest around that 200, take back the 5, curl up the MACD, great bar, never cross back below the 9. All of that is fantastic, and you just ride that thing up. Now at this point, maybe you're getting a sort of inverse hammer or a hammer on the 2 hour, so that's something to pay attention to. But is that going to be some kind of massive reversal? Massive reversal through the center line? It's unlikely. You're violating the divergence on the RSI, you're violating the divergence on the MACD. You're violating both. So that's where you have to say, if an opportunity wants to present itself again, hey, this was a good trade. Awesome. Now, do we pull down maybe to retest some levels like this, and then we curl up one more time? That would get this MACD by the center line and curl back up. That's what I'm talking about. Being patient at these kinds of moments. Yeah, this thing can squeeze higher. It can do anything. But do you know that it's a good opportunity at this moment? And that's going to be a big deal. Could be hedging a lot, and then it could be people just trying to guess the downfall. At this moment, you want to more read into the fact that people are in calls for the moment, right? Why could there be puts a month out? It could be hedging in some way. Like people are still thinking something bad could happen, which does make sense. I mean, volatility is still at 15. We're not seeing this thing by 12.12, right? Once you get down by 12.12, usually you sit there for a little bit too. Right, we sit there for a second. So that's when you really buy some time. And notice this, we get to 12.12 when we said squeeze back here, squeeze. Awesome, then you get to 12.12, you keep getting these reactions to 12.12. That happens a lot of the time down there. So the fact that you're still elevated in some way is kind of bad. But you notice last week, I think it was last week we curled down the weekly. So this means that this move most likely does continue. I would say for at least this week, going into maybe early next week. And then maybe we'll actually get that pullback, that corrective move. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Hamid, I hope that was helpful. Genuinely just trying to look at things and say, is this a good opportunity right now? You know, if I'm trying to really get into a position, is this a good opportunity right now? Or are we going to do exactly what we were kind of planning out? If you want to see that plan, that's in our video from Saturday. Our plan was, yeah, we kind of dip down or move sideways, right? We dip down to a daily or move sideways, and then we curl up for a brief moment. We create a divergence, and then we actually see this thing pull back on a 2 hour. And maybe we actually get down towards a weekly expected move on that 2 hour and curl up. And that would be the opportunity for the upside play. Gold at 26. Let's look at futures. Yeah, okay, futures, you do want to spread it out, and the 2 hour not forming the divergence at the same time. But you see how we're at this level now. We've really gotten down to the level. If we experience a bounce here, weekly expected moves are coming into play. Get those over on Patreon. But if this would curl up and create the structure, that's what we're really looking for here. You do have a divergence on the MACD, not the RSI at all. So I'm not confident in that divergence whatsoever. I'm not confident in that divergence at all. And I think if we do bounce here, it most likely will be a lower high. But I'm aware if this does curl up a daily chart on GLD, I would say, that's the one I'm more following with the analysis here. So GLD, if this actually curls up on the daily scale, that's where it can go up for a little bit more time. So you're more looking for, are we going to go test a moving average and then reject? Or are we going to keep falling? That can still happen. Or is this going to be able to cross on the MACD? Because you're by that center line, you're still in a positive trend. If that wanted to curl up, you can go test that high over time. I think a lower high is the most likely scenario here. You react down a little bit lower, or even right now, you see some kind of bounce like this and then it rejects. That's what I think is the most likely here, according to my 2 hour chart. It's pretty damn deep into negative territory. It's pretty deep in there, right? So that's going to be a lot of work for that to go higher. GME almost to 27. Ooh, 26.75, pretty good. AMC is still waiting for that 2 hour to curl up, get back above 437. Then you can maybe see a move. We'll see if it does something crazy. But GME, still looking all right. I mean, 30 minutes not crossing down yet, so nothing too much to worry about. I mean, But you would still say as a trader, is this an opportunity right now? It depends on what time frame you're looking at for GME, right? If you're saying 30-minute, it would be, and I'm trying to take an option for Friday, then this 30-minute might not be the best timing. The timing was more here. IWM, new all-time high. Let's go check on that real quick, because we do have weekly expected moves for you here. You see IWM's doing it. This is what I'm talking about. IWM makes the move up, we move sideways, we pull back with time, we cross up into positive territory. So what is the most likely thing to happen here is to test a weekly expected move. If we're going to fall short, then maybe that's going to be the 2-hour pullback that then makes you able to turn up over time later on, because the 2-hour is extremely positive. I don't think it's extremely positive. So this could be that little divergence before you go to that, or maybe we go to that. I'm just looking for if that 30-minute can prove to pull back the 2-hour for an opportunity. That's what I'm waiting for. But yeah, Tom, very, very good look there. Great move. About to hit my target. I actually was like, man, that's unlikely. 242.97, that's unlikely. But that was the target from the measured move of 2024. And that's not a 68% zone. That's why it's in blue, just so you're aware. That's not an annual expected move or anything. It was just a target from some structure from a long time ago. Any plays this week? Anyone in? I'm still in TLT as far as investing and holding on to the option for now. That 30-minute crossed over. It's still positive. So what I was looking for from TLT was to do something that can really change the trend around, which is this. The trend has changed around. Can it continue it one more time? If it breaks through this level, we have a ton of orders in here, so I assume we'd head up to a weekly expected move for TLT. Shorting Bitcoin, one thing about Bitcoin is you had reversal signals on the 2-hour, right? But that's the shortest time frame I would look at. You're getting rid of those a little bit. All right, you're getting rid of those. So yes, this can pull back, but you'll notice in the near term it's very, very flat across. Yeah, in the near term it's turning down, but this is just screaming higher. It's very hard to short things when they are squeezing. And that's what's happening with Bitcoin. And you're not seeing those reversal signals confirm yet. And that's important because this can keep squeezing and keep squeezing and keep squeezing. And then if that 2-hour turns back, that could just be a pullback with time. So we're kind of, if you're taking a trade here, you're probably expecting like, oh, Bitcoin does this and then curls back up. Bitcoin does this and then turns back up. But what if Bitcoin just slowly did this? Slowly did that. That would slowly get this by the center line and then curls up. That's why shorting this is a very, very difficult thing. You're very far away from the center line mark. But if Mark, you seem like you know what you're doing. A lot of the things you bring up are very, very good. We talk back and forth. I mean, if you understand your strategy, you're going to understand your strategy more than me trying to understand your strategy right away. So if all the things are there for yours, you have those reasons, I get it. That's what I'm thinking, just me. I'm like, I'm not shorting anything because this is a squeeze. And that was my big point on Sunday's video, was like, this is a big mistake a lot of people make, is trying to short. And you can still make money. Like, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying it's usually not a good idea. Usually not a good idea. GME needs a breakthrough point of 28.21. Yeah, Mark, I just wanted to give you that other side. I just wanted to give you that other side of it. I just wanted to give you that other side of it. You know what I mean? Just kind of be a devil's advocate for you just a little bit to get you to think with that 1%. You might have a 99% thing in your head right now. I want to give you that 1% to be like, let me just think about it a little bit differently for a moment. But I assume you have some good, like you talk about some very good things with gold and oil and all that good stuff. So I assume you have a very good strategy, especially for those futures and things like that. So I would just say this, it's like manage risk. That's the best thing we can do. Like if you manage risk as a trader, it's such a huge advantage. I think NVIDIA is a big deal, and that's something that we pointed out on Saturday. The fact that we had weekly confirmations, and we pointed this out when these did confirm actually too. For the SPY, we had a weekly confirmation. We got rid of that the next week. NVIDIA never confirmed it. So that's kind of a big deal. And something with NVIDIA that could really extend this. And we're seeing this. This is not a good look for NVIDIA, by the way, on the daily scale, if that drops down. So you're hoping that this is like a 2-hour pullback and then crosses up into positive territory. That's a rough look for NVIDIA here. If NVIDIA is going to fall down, this is something that you need to pay attention to. I just don't think it's the most likely thing, but you do have the divergence points between these places, but you also have that divergence in the near price action if that would to cross right now. And it's right before earnings, so that's going to be risky, right? Earnings comes up in what? 9 days? So if this crosses down, that would be bad, but I would really be watching this 2-hour and say earnings, maybe I don't want to do anything around that. Because really what's happened here, we broke out, we got this. This was actually a retest of those highs, and then we're bouncing, trying to hold that 5. So if a 2-hour pullback can happen, that would be great. Maybe that does cross over the daily. I just want to make sure that that's going negative at that point, because this is pretty high up still, and maybe we want to just do that before it falls. Maybe we just want to do this before it falls. Maybe we want to not do that. So I'm going to be watching it. I see a reversal signal on the daily scale, but I don't see reversal signals on a ton of stocks at the same time, if that makes sense. Thank you, Hussein. I really appreciate that. It might not. I mean, look at SMCI's reaction there, but that was more a third party doing something that affected SMCI, you know? So I'm assuming NVIDIA as the biggest stock, and as inflation is still kind of, in that upward direction, it's still holding up, you would assume that they're still going to print good numbers. But I'm not going to assume that and take a trade. I'm going to look at the signals. If it's around earnings, if it's a golden setup, I might. If it's not a golden setup, I ain't doing it. But if we can get a golden setup here, we do a 2-hour like this, we see a 2-hour divergence in the near price action, we see a daily divergence across, we see a 30-minute divergence in this move, that would be the golden setup before earnings. I think that's fine, just me. I actually think that makes sense. It does make sense. I just think in that period of time, we experience some kind of corrective move. I think if this is going to go up into, say, even spring of 2025, you're going to need a corrective move, or else this is just going to be the blow off top of all blow off tops. But I think that's okay to think. I'm just more paying attention to when that correction could take place right now. And then I think we actually do move higher, at least in the SPY. And then we'll look for that lower high from the Q, somewhere around maybe anywhere from, I would say, January to March. But we'll see, we're very fluent. We're trade like water for a reason. We really flow around. We see the reversal signal from the SPY. We immediately go, okay, even though that weekly's crossed, remember we said the weekly didn't close below the 9, so you got to see if this is a blip. Right? We said that in the video. We said that live, but yeah, it's like, it could be, because like we've blown off the top, 6 different times over the last couple of years now? Nah, maybe not 6 times, maybe like 3. But it's because of that money outflowing out of a lot of foreign investments into domestic investments here for the US, and I think that could cause that. Could be an extended one. I just think the corrective move would be great for an opportunity and great for the structure of stocks to head higher into something like February. So I think we're on the same page a little bit. GME, people talking about that moving fast, passing right by 27. You're about to hit the crazy level, 28, 21. And you would still say, like, this is a blow off top in some way. Ooh, we're watching GME. That's fun. Like, you're already in one, technically, because you violated this. So then you blew off, and you notice we start to see these weird swings. Okay, now we're going to keep blowing up. Kind of crazy. But we don't have great reversal signals in here. You're about to get to the point where you're violating them. I'm interested to see this, because GME is popping, and NVIDIA does have a daily divergence. These are kind of the opposite of each other, in my opinion. Do some comedy. Gosh. I used to like write stuff out. I'd have to like get my brain back to adolescent and write stuff out. It seems also controlled on pullbacks. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, like pulling back with time, pulling back with this. But GME can really disrupt the market, so we'll see. That's a great breakout for GME. Is AMC following and crossing up a 2-hour? That's going to be a big deal. Yeah, that's a pretty good move. We got to see that 2-hour cross up. You see that 2-hour cross up, that's when you're more like, hey, this looks pretty decent again. This looks like a rejection of the daily. The Kamala of all tops. That's funny. It'll be such a blow off top, it'll probably blow off, you know, Trump's hair or something like that. But we'll see. This did not curl down into negative territory. This could be a rejection. In order for us to really say that's a rejection, I need to see a 2-hour curl up. I need to see that go positive. You know, I'm glad someone had me go check NVIDIA again, because this is the signal I would be paying attention to. More just say this squeeze can continue. Don't think it can't, but this is a signal to say, do I really want to take big upside moves? If that happens, no. Has this crossed yet? No. Okay, so this can continue, especially if we get this 2-hour to just pull back with time. If we can just control this and go like that and then curl up, you may even curl down the daily and that just turns right back around. That's what I'm watching. Yeah, I'm looking for that corrective move, but I just don't think we built structure in the SPY and the Qs to really see that just yet. Whoa! 2-hour curl down, 2-hour was like, nope, I'm going right back up. That's crazy. Yeah, not a lot of great signals for positions in here. The moves are too rapid off the gate, out of the gate. So that's kind of a big deal. Let's look at this on the grand scheme of things. You had daily divergence. See how that confirmed and then just whipped back the other way. So not a lot of great signals in here to really read like what's going to probably happen next. If anything, you're probably saying a 30-minute pullback would be the next thing that can happen. Right, there is divergence here, but I don't want to read into that too much. The swings are way too big. We went negative. We're going like, right, we went really positive, then we went really negative, now we're really positive. So I don't want to read too much into this. This just looks like a complex one that's going to do what it wants to do. Okay. GME is still coming back below that 27 level. We'll see. This is where it has the shot, right? The 2-hour turned up. 2-hour turned up, that's when you got a shot. The daily's turned up, the 2-hours turned up, you closed outside of your weekly expected move 2 weeks in a row. Might have caused some margin problems there. Oh, I think it is max effort. And that's why I'm paying attention to rigged moves up that create divergences. Gotta love it. Because if the market really wasn't broken, you probably would just like almost never see triple divergence. You'd probably just see like a divergence, oh, a pullback. Okay, that curled up. Okay, awesome. Okay, a big divergence on a macro scale. Okay, awesome. We're going to go through a recession. Like, it would be easier to read, in my opinion. Lucid. Ooh, solid from Lucid with the 2-hour divergence. I know someone asked about this last week. And that can curl up the daily. Now the daily is very low on the MACD, so this could need a, you know, lower high or higher low or even a divergence. Okay, so I'd really pay attention once we get, maybe we get all the way to the wick here. This is a great level. You see how the closing lows, those lows in there are right with this wick. I really like that level for a test here. 291. Really like 291. If we can get all the way up to there and then see a little thing on a 2-hour and still remain curled up, don't curl down, that would be great. I really would like that from Lucid as far as structure goes. And you do have the 2-hour that told you, hey, that the daily has a good shot to curl up here. Yeah, and the reason it's tough is because of everything looks up so high. That's why I'm really trying to toot that horn. Really trying to toot. Really tooting right now. Just tooting all over the place. Really trying to toot that horn of, let's just be patient, and wait for the next opportunity, okay? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Because even the daily's hitting overbought, the 2-hour way overbought, the 30-minute overbought. Now this is like, hey, do we make that move higher, curl down on the 30-minute, and then give us that 2-hour opportunity? Check the dollar. I think was that going up still? Yeah, dollar really going to the upside. One thing about the dollar is you're starting to see a bunch of divergences as we hit our point of 105.65. So we want to look at this on bigger time frames, and you'll see you have a 2-hour flat divergence showing up here. So one thing to notice is this is still behaving in a way where it's mostly positively correlated with the market. So if the dollar experiences weakness, we might see the market experience that as well, the SPY, because you're relatively seeing them react at the same time. I mean, look at Tuesday, November 5th. Big reaction up from the SPY, big reaction up from the dollar. The dollar pulls back, tests the zone. Still go into the upside here for the dollar. Still go into the upside for the SPY. So if these are going to work still in that positive correlation, well, then you would say if the dollar actually does come down, then the market will be coming down. And right now you do have a shitload of calls coming in. Hey, that's awesome, Lizard. That's awesome, Lizard. I love to hear that. That's so fun. What was it? Oh, someone just popped up a stock they want to look at. I'm down to look at it because you've asked a few times, Slot Machine. Thank you so much for being patient with me. Newmont, that's a worrisome sign. That's not a good sign if you curl over on this 2-hour. That can keep flushing. That's one. You're creating great structure every single time to get these curl downs, right? You go down, move sideways, go down, move sideways, go down, move sideways, go down, move sideways, go down. Move sideways, go down, right? The 2-hour is about to cross here. So this is going to be one that does not have the best signals. It's just showing great little flagging down. And it keeps happening on the gap. So they're using liquidity throughout the day to shoot it lower. So if you see it do this again, just be aware that that can cross down. But you are getting closer to the center line with every curl. Does it look like bottoming out signals? No. I don't think so. I mean, you are seeing the divergences and its rejection, but that's so close to crossing that could really flush. That could really flush. And you could end up actually back down towards 40 if you're lucky. If you wanted to end up even lower. Actually, where you're at right now kind of lines up with a lot of liquidity. So maybe a little bit lower. Yeah, 40. And gold might continue to go down, but gold has the opportunity for a bounce. So something here could be, hey, what if it bounces and then curls down again? You've seen a lot of that behavior lately from this guy. So it's one that's a tough one. No position in that. Yeah, it's one that's a little tough. Just because you're not seeing fluent stuff. And if it's tough, I ain't touching it. You know what I mean? If it's tough, I ain't touching it. So downside would be likely, I mean, I would like to have a weekly range for this to see if these wonky setups are happening at least by a weekly range to give me another reasons for the trade. Yes, Tom. You know, I need that weekly range to give me just that little edge to make my thinking a little more clear. And I do not have one for Newmont. See that there's just, it's just the likelihood to get, this is what I'm talking about from the SPY as well. This, just creating something little like that to give us reasons that 2-hour can pull down, then that 2-hour pops back up. We do have Jerome Powell talking later in the week. He's talking at, I looked it up, but something that he's probably going to talk very highly about things and probably pump the market. But if we can do that, I think this is when the opportunity shows itself for a lot of stocks. Because now you're seeing that 30-minute pop up a little bit. Still overbought, going towards a weekly expected move, all that good stuff. GME up, let's see, 8.76%. Very, very good. We'll see if this is able to remain curled up on a 30-minute. We'll see if this can break through 28, 21. That'll be a big deal. But right now, guys, just to give you a main takeaway as I'm about to head off is we're still waiting for the opportunity. We're waiting for that to move sideways or go in the upward or downward direction a little bit to curl up into positive territory. You do not have reversal signals here. The only reversal signal I'd be paying attention to and taking pretty seriously is going to be, well, one, NVIDIA did it on the 30-minute. It curled down finally, right? We curled down to that 5. We're bouncing off. If that can curl up, positivity, watch out for divergence. But this would be something to keep on your radar, just if that daily scale is able to turn down. It is still curled up at this moment. It is still curled up at this moment, so you just have to be ready to react, have it in your head, and if it plays out, it plays out. If you have to manage risk, that's fantastic. You're being better than 90% of traders out there. Awesome. So for the SPY, we're not saying this is going to crash down, right? We're saying if I'm going to call some kind of massive, some kind of big correction, some kind of move down, I need to see structure for that. I see none of it. So this continuing, or at least seeing some kind of pullback and then continuing, is likely. All right, is likely. So that's the main takeaway here. Be patient. Be patient. Wait for good opportunities. Wait for the structure to really show itself. All right, guys, I do have to head out for the day. Most likely I will be updating Patreon. We're going to go over those monthly expected moves today. So if you want to join the Patreon and look at those monthly expected moves for every stock we cover, we're going to put that video out later on today. Thank you guys so much for joining. And just me, I love you being here, okay? I love you being here, and the fact that we can flip it like this is a fantastic thing to be as a trader. It proves like, hey, and I think that was a good lesson from this price action was, you know, you got to remind yourself, this market is most of the time bullish. They do not want the market to come down. So if you see a 30-minute divergence, especially one that can reverse the trend back to bullish, you have to pay attention. And yes, we did have the opportunity that this would curl up and reject from this zone, but we gapped above it. And that's a big deal. That is a big deal. And that got rid of a lot of the divergences we were dealing with. Okay, so you have to be ready to react in real time, flip back and forth, trade like water. It will really help you out, manage risk. It will really help you out. And thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate you guys being here, and I look forward to seeing you later tonight on YouTube. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Peace out.